the second installment in my little week focusing on Aston Martin. In the last video we had a DB9 GT Bond Edition, and today I'm revisiting the V12 Vantage, only with a difference. The last time I drove a V12 powered Vantage, it was the original 6-speed manual 510 horsepower DBS engined car. It was enjoyable for sure, but certainly flawed. The clutch and gearbox are not the easiest to use when pulling away, although it was quick. On the very same day I drove a Ferrari 599, which very much showed all the flaws in the Aston. The engine, while effective, just didn't have the punch load down or the high-end fireworks of the fabulous Ferrari unit. And the handling, good as it was tainted by a suspension which was just far too firm. I left that review thinking that in reality the V8 Vantage at about half the price would probably be overall the better buy. If you've been considering a V12 Vantage, there's one fact which will certainly have not escaped your attention, and that is for the same money as you'd pay to get an original 6-speed manual car, you could have a later 7-speed single clutch equipped Vantage S with more power, a newer, nicer interior, and possibly a better specification too. This car has been very kindly loaned to me by a long-time friend, James, someone I met through the Lotus community and who also has an Evolve 400, which I'll be driving immediately after this. He and a couple of other chaps have started a website called Petrolheads Welcome, an online directory listing all sorts of venues that are welcoming to cars and car lovers alike. It's currently free to use for everybody, and you'll find details in the description down below. Now, this particular V12 Vantage S is not standard because it's also equipped with the rather expensive AMR Power Pack. That means that unlike the regular 560 odd horsepower, you now have just shy of 600. And that engine is fabulous. It will move the car from about 1500 RPM, and from 2000 it has response that a Tesla owner would be impressed with. It also makes one of the best noises on the planet, and that is thanks to an extraordinary titanium exhaust, also part of the AMR Power Pack. Helping the car breathe is an inlet manifold bespoke to cars with this kit. I expected when I opened the bonnet to find some lavish piece of carbon fibre goodness, but it in fact looks actually quite plain and cheap, much lower end in fact than the original manifolds, which are all sort of crackle finished. Very odd that, but hey ho, it's certainly effective. But let's talk about the elephant in the room, shall we? The gearbox. Originally, the V12 Vantage S was available exclusively with the SportShift 3 transmission, a 7-speed single-clutch automated manual. Later, you could get a dogleg 7-speed manual, which was actually a reverse engineering of this very same box and is still available in the new V8 Vantage AMR. I shan't sugarcoat it, it's still not brilliant. Like all single-clutch manual boxes, the very first thing you must do is take it out of drive. Do not let it row its own gears because it is not very good at it. I recently drove a Ferrari 355, the first car in the world to have a paddle shift transmission, or certainly the first modern car to do so. In many ways, you have to drive this car like you do that one. Around town, of course, this is much better and smoother than the 355. Pulling away from a junction and so on is easy, no problem whatsoever. But if you try and keep your foot down when you're changing gear, it'll still do that. It's not annoying, it's not jerky, it's not truly bad, neither is it brilliant. The paddles themselves are okay to use. I like the little cutouts that have been drilled into them for the down and up symbol, and there is indeed a lot to like about this car. Curiously, I did actually ask the owner, James, whether he'd considered swapping this for a manual-equipped car, and he told me that he had actually tried one and declined because he didn't find the 7-speed manual that easy to use. He felt that it was far too easy to go into first when you didn't want to, and so for that reason he decided to stay with this. Unlike the 355, when you do really want to make progress, this can actually change gears quickly, and you may as well leave your foot planted. It's that much better at doing it. Still not perfect, and it's a far cry even from the Ferrari 430 Scud, which was dual clutch-like in its upshifts. That car is insane. If you don't believe me, go look at some clips of it on full attack. Steering in this car feels very similar to that in the previous V12, which is to say, not quite as good as in the V8, but still very nice and enjoyable. The car has a surprising keenness to turn in, especially once you've got past that initial phase. It means that you can hustle it down tight roads in a much better way than you think should be possible. The one area of the V12 S though that is really surprising me is the suspension. It was without a shadow of a doubt the biggest flaw with the V12, but here they've got it just right. It sits perfectly on that balance between sporty yet comfortable, and means that this would make an excellent, genuine Grand Tourer, other than the fact that boot space is just as limited as it is in every other Vantage. The 1000-watt B&O stereo system in here, absolutely fantastic. Also not good though are these seats. Much like the DB9 GT that I drove yesterday, they look very nice, but they don't really support you, nor are they especially comfortable. In fact, the bucket seats are by far the ones I'd recommend, whether you want a sportier or more comfortable seat. Strange, but true. Now, both this and the earlier V12 have a reputation for tail happiness, perhaps the earlier one even more so than this. But in all honesty, having driven now the CLK 63, nothing phases me anymore. The Black Series is the Del Griffiths of oversteer. That thing is absolutely psychopathic. This, pussycat by comparison. It's got so much torque that even though it does have real top-end fireworks, you can still make more than ample progress without having to go there. Downshifts get better the more aggressively that you drive. I am conscious of how loud this thing is. I mean, you can probably hear it quite easily on this microphone, and as I'm sure you can tell by the drive-bys from outside, it's raucous. It is a proper Aston, but although overall it is certainly the far better, more resolved car than the original V12, Gearbox is still an Achilles heel. What I really would like is this exact car, but with the 6-speed in it. I didn't hate it, I didn't love it, but it was good enough for me. No need for a complicated 7-speed dogleg thing, which apparently isn't even that nice to use. As it happens, I even love the color combo on this thing. That ultramarine black in direct sunlight looks spectacular. The real heavy blue flake in it. Wonderful thing. And you got blue stitching in here too. All I'd want to change out really would be the seats, and then I'd have a pretty perfect Aston. So, there we go. That is the V12 Vantage S. Thank you for watching. If you're in the UK, please do check out Petrolheads Welcome. Please like, comment below, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you all for the next one. Bye-bye.